Hello and greetings, fellow StarCrafters. Should probably start the game. And welcome back to a 1 versus 1 between the players EGIdra, the green Zerg player up here to the north, and SixJacksDDE, the blue Terran player to the south. Now, this map is Metalopolis, very classic map, been on the ladder a very long time, very popular map, especially the version where you cannot beat close spawns, which I believe this version is. And I just want to talk about the players a little bit. DDE, EGIdra you should well know. He's well known for his rage. He's also a very, very good Zerg player. Very macro-oriented Zerg, and also loves his Mutalisks. He usually doesn't get like a huge clump of Mutalisks. He's not one of those players who goes for like 30 Mutalisks and then just like wins the game that way. But he is certainly quite good with his Mutalisks, and he does a lot of damage with them, and is quite effective with them, especially for picking off drops. He loves to do that, and is quite good at that as well. Meanwhile, DDE is actually Canadian, so he knows what you're talking about, eh? My neighbor to the north, since I'm from Minnesota, and you know, we compete. Minnesota actually being the farthest northernmost state in the continental United States. No, Maine is not the correct answer. It is Minnesota. A small little tip of Minnesota up at the top. And looks like he's getting a barracks there, fairly standard build. EGIdra is going to go ahead and just send the Overlord for initial scouting. Overlord's going to see that nobody's in that position. So if it is the version of the map I was talking about, that means that he has to be cross-spawned. It remains to be seen whether that's going to affect EGIdra's play or not. DDE not going for any sort of quick fast expand. He's just going to go ahead and create a quick, regular timed refinery there, so he's going to be doing something with his gas. It remains to be seen exactly what with his gas he's going to be doing. Another notable thing about DDE, other than being Canadian, is that actually he beat EGIdra before in the finals of the Sound Blaster Tactics 3D tournament. And so EGIdra, I guess, might be looking for a little revenge. This is actually just a regular public game. This is obviously not a ladder match game because it's not the red and blue colors, it's green and blue. As EGIdra, I guess his favorite color is green. Oh, and he did in fact go for a hatch first build. So EGIdra built his hatchery first, then went for a spawning pool. I think that's mostly because of the safety that being cross spawns provided him. But EGIdra might be looking for revenge. As I was saying, this is not a public game. It's just kind of for fun. It's not for any sort of prize or anything like that. I guess it's, I don't know, maybe for EGIdra, it's possibly for revenge. Now, one thing that this means is that actually EGIdra's going to have speed out considerably slower than if you did a spawning pool first build, especially extractor in a spawning pool build, which is considerably more rare. Normally, you're going to go either, your build order is either going to be extractor pool hatchery, or hatchery pool extractor. Rarely is the extractor in the middle there. Of those three things, the SCV is going to sail around here, see everything that's going on for EGIdra. Meanwhile, we have a reactor going up for the barracks, and 2 Marines who have already come out from the barracks, and now it's building a reactor, and a factory going down for DDE. Looks like those Marines are just going to go pick around. They're probably Overlord hunting, actually, is what I would say. And he is absolutely going for reactor Hellions. Very good build against Zerg. It's become a lot more common recently, and it looks like actually these Marines are probably going to get it, especially since the Zerglings haven't even been built yet for EGIdra. This Overlord is actually definitely going down. But reactor Hellions are quite good. They maintain map control until the Zerg player, definitely until the Zerg player gets speedlings, and sometimes even longer until they get either mutas or roaches or something a little bit beefier, or basically just enough speedlings, because enough speedlings, as long as you get a surround on Hellions, you're going to beat the Hellions. You might take some losses, but they'll only hit 1 ling each. Looks like these Zerglings, though, are going to be out for revenge. So these Marines will they probably need to do a little bit better scoop shoot. Probably just had them in the attack command. But that was decent, pretty good micro. He was able to kill 2 Zerglings, and that final Zerg is going to finish him off before he's able to do anything about it, and probably poke around to the front, or just get taken out by the Hellions. Either way, EGIdra's going to know exactly what build DDE is going by seeing the 2 Hellions out on the map. He's not going to go. He knows he's not going Blue Flame Hellions, and he knows they couldn't build 2 Hellions that fast for that reason. And so the Hellions are going to go ahead and sail up here. We do see a Spine Crawler is almost going to be finished. It will be finished by the time the Hellions get there. So they'll take a, oh, nice. Sailed around a little, taking the whack. Was able to prevent that. He should probably have the Queen up on the ramp, but he just wants to protect the lower workers. It considers the greater danger. And the Hellions are able to get 1 drone kill. That's pretty decent. If they got a couple more, that'd be nice, but he definitely doesn't want to lose them unless he gets a couple more kills with them. You know, it's 200 minerals is a relatively big investment for the Hellions. Meanwhile, I see a very fast command center going down for DDE. It looks like he was using the reactor Hellions to be able to try to secure that. He's also getting a starport, so it's possible he's going to be going for some sort of Hellion drop as well, or just elevating them up to the main, although I just got his Overlord very nicely positioned at the bottom to be able to see that as it's coming, unless DDE is able to, well, he doesn't know that Overlord's there, but I don't know if he's some sort of magic ability, just knows just to plant his Hellions right there and then go this way. Alternatively, of course, he could go around to the back as well. We do see actually 2 spine crawlers from EGIdra. He's definitely afraid of those Hellions. It's mostly because he's not getting roaches, I would say. He wants to make sure not to, because Hellions can, like, Hellions in a decent amount of numbers, you know, 10, 6, 8, 10 Hellions can really do a number, deal a lot of damage to Zerglings. And so you definitely want to be prepared for that, and EGIdra knows that, and that's why he's prepared. We do see a medevac coming out and a siege tank as well. That's interesting. It looks like, I would guess he's just transitioning. I don't think he's going to go for any sort of major attack. I mean, obviously it's not a 1-base all-in, but it could be sort of all-in with 2 bases. It's very possible. As the command centers actually, after a couple of mules, additional orbital commands replace themselves even on 1 base. We are seeing a drop here, though. He's going to actually go right next to that Overlord. The Overlord's going to see it, and EGIdra's going to have to react pretty quickly to be able to deal with this. We do see a macro hatchery going down for EGIdra as well. And we actually do not see very many forces in position. EGIdra might be in for a beating here. He did bring the Zerglings back. That doesn't seem like enough Zerglings to be able to stop this attack. He has the Queens back as well, and the Hellions are going to go sail through. What you really want to try to use the Zerglings for is block the Hellions to some damage dealers, and he was able to ferry up the other 2 Hellions as well. Meanwhile, Scan comes down just to make sure he's in the proper position, and it looks like he is going to get a decent amount of drone kills. He's not quite aiming his Hellions right there, but EGIdra's doing a good job keeping his forces away, his drones away as well, and using the Zerglings to block it just the right time. Fries like 3 Zerglings or 3 drones there, and then he's just going to lift off and take off. Yep. And just double check my math there. Oh, we do see 7 workers killed. That was fairly effective harass, considering he only lost. Considering he didn't lose that many Hellions, and actually he's going to go in for another shot here, although I don't think this is going to be very effective. Really, EGIdra should be putting his forces right underneath, but he probably wasn't expecting it. But he's going to get surrounded anyway, and then DDE, I was going to say he's just going to lift up, but it looks like he wasn't able to lift off in time. It's possible he was macroing, as he had secures his expansion, and he's got siege tanks on the way as well. Meanwhile, we actually do see, for EGIdra, baneling speed, fairly early baneling speed, considering that we haven't seen any actual banelings get created. So I would say that this is an offensive baneling speed, hoping to catch him DDE off guard after the Hellion harass, but DDE is already well prepared with the siege tanks, with siege mode, so he should be fine against any sort of attacks. It is worth noting, though, he doesn't have speed, and Marines without stim against speed Hellions. Oh, and actually, how many Overlord kills does this guy get? Oh, the Viking had 0 Overlord kills. I guess he probably went in for 1 and missed it. Yep, he was going for that one. He still could get it if he came back. He'll probably come back. Ooh, now you're going to miss it? Ah, he misses it. But he does see the expansion. That's always important. But as I was saying, Marines without stim, very, very, very difficult. In fact, just impossible to dodge banelings that have speed. You're just going to take the hit. Unless you have siege tanks. Siege tanks will, of course, protect you from banelings because they blow them up quite effectively. And it's like this Viking wants to narrowly dodge every Overlord possible. He just like went above this Overlord, went below the Overlord. Now if he just leaves it here, nope, sailing it away. If he just left it there, eventually the Overlord would have walked into it and he would have been able to get that kill. Looks like he wasn't able to spot it though. He's still going to be looking though, so he's still got his chance. Hopefully he'll get an Overlord kill. We also see a Spire was down for EGIdra. I believe that's Metalisks. Let's see how many Metalisks. He's 1 more on the way, and he currently has 8. So that's a pretty decent pack of Metalisks. They're going to come down here. Probably deal a little bit of damage. I don't think they'll destroy any buildings. Looks like he's going to take out that Viking, save the Overlord. Poor Viking never got an Overlord kill. And we're going to be up to 11, or was that 12 Metalisks right now as well. The Marines have moved up, however. They don't have stim. So, and actually I wouldn't recommend that engagement with EGIdra. The Medevac's going to prevent any sort of permanent damage being dealt to the Marines, and the Marines will deal somewhat permanent damage to the Mutalisks, depending on how active EGIdra keeps them and how much fire they take from normal usage. Stim pack is a good 100 seconds away. 110 seconds away, so that's going to take a little while. And you know, I love how I feel like whenever I talk about a player's tendencies, it ends up being the exact opposite during the game, as EGIdra is going for a very heavy Metalisk build, and he is actually going to be able to snipe that supply depot. Meanwhile, the Marines are not split correctly. DDE... Oh, DDE is just going to move out, actually. He's leaving some Marines back for defense, but fortunately taking a decent amount of bounce damage, and then he's just going to go set up the rest of his forces. EGIdra sees this, however, as a result of that Zergling at the watchtower, and so he's going to move his Mutalisk back, move his Mutalisk back. It's very difficult because they're both M something. We do have a bunch of Brainlings coming in, 14. Currently, that's probably not going to be enough if Stim is not still finished. If he's just going to need the siege tanks to be able to protect him. That's why DDE is being very careful with the siege tanks. He wants to make sure that the siege tanks are set up because there's no way he can run away. He can also pick up against the Banelings, but he has to do it very carefully because the Mutalisk, of course, can pick off the Medevacs as well. So he's going to set up his siege tanks right there, and then he's just going to slowly poke in. And EGIdra with a nice pick-off there, didn't even lose a Mutalisk. However, he did take some serious damage. Oh, and that was kind of a lot of damage. But Stimpack is still not done, unfortunately. And oh yeah, see that's what happens to Terran units when they don't have Stimpack, is they just get swamped by Banelings, and it doesn't particularly matter how many siege tanks you have because there are so many units in a Zerg army that could just tank siege tank fire. That if you're not able to stim Marines and run away, they have to waddle, and then you're just not able to deal enough DPS either. So actually,